join us. We will start our discussion, the cultural landscape in Flux. And just we made this event together, the International Coalition of Cultural Workers in Solidarity with Ukraine and the Yermilov Center, at the part of our program Sense of Safety, the international exhibition that took part in the Yermilov Center. And as the International Coalition and as the Yermilov Center, all the time during our project, we discuss a lot of the concept of interdependencies, which mean that no one of us, nothing, cannot live in isolated, and how we connected to each other on the one hand, and how the different, level of violence and shape of violence connected to each other. And today we have discussion how cultural spheres and art sphere is transforming or affected by Russian aggression and repressions. And we invited cultural workers from different countries, from Ukraine, Belarus, Kazakhstan, and Georgia. That unfortunately, this is not the full list who are affected by Russia, but when we created our discussion, we think that today is very important to discuss in this company, as well as in a very difficult distance and circles, but all this geography affected very dramatic events that 100% created and influenced by Russian aggression or in a Russia colonial system. And of course, this I'm totally sure that the cultural sphere and how cultural workers deal with this situation is completely different in each of region, and not only the countries, but in the part of the regions. I totally understand, for example, in Ukraine, that cultural communities who lives in Kherson or Lviv is completely different how they affected by the war, by the full-scale invasion. But at the same time, we created these events to understand better the situation on the one hand, on the other hand, to discuss how we can support and how we can support each other, and how we can just understand each other better. So and I'm really happy to introduce our participants. That this is Medina Bazargali from Kazakhstan, Nastya Khlistova from Ukraine, but as I understand now she is in Austria. Anna Mikadze from Georgia, Lizaveta Sitsko, who lives currently in Poland, but originally from Belarus, and me, myself, I will be moderator of this discussion. I'm better to say that it's not discussion, it's probably the proper words as a conversation. Antonina Stebur. And and probably we can start with the small presentation to understand better what happened in the cultural sphere of in our regions, problem, I don't know, demands, or tendencies that deal with every of our circles. And after that, we will have a Q&A session. So feel free to ask question in a YouTube chat. I will read it after our presentation part. So let's start. And probably, I don't know, we can start with Anastasia Khlistova, probably.
Hi, thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me. I will share my presentation.
Yes, so, yeah. We see.
My name is Nastya Khlistova. I'm curator and researcher. I'm co-founder of two artist-run spaces, 127 Garage and Sigel, and I will tell you a little bit about my practice before the invasion and after the invasion. So in 2019, together with my partner, artist Anton Tkachenko, we founded 127 Garage, which was our small artist-run space in Kharkiv. It was based in our garage, and our main focus was on emerging Ukrainian artists. That time in Kharkiv, it was hard for emerging artists to find the space to show their artworks. I know that it's even harder now because less institution works. For example, Garage doesn't exist and the physical space anymore. Unfortunately, we didn't have any kind of shelter in our space because it was a garage. This is one of the exhibitions, actually the first exhibition that we had in the space. And during our work, our main focus was on the community. So when we started, our main idea was to create this kind of safer space for emerging and young artists, so they can not only showcase their works but also gather together and discuss their problems to create this kind of warm and understanding surroundings. And I think we were working not for so long. We were working only for 3 seasons, 2019, 2020, and 2021. We didn't work during winter, so in 2022 we didn't have any exhibitions. But I think throughout these 3 years we were pretty successful in our goals. We created some kind of the community around our space. We had some people who were coming specifically for our events. Our garage was not in the city center. It was like 45 minutes from the city center by tram or by subway. So all our events were on Saturdays or on Sundays for people to be able to attend and to leave before the sunset. And in 2021, we showcases our community in Poltava, in other gallery. And that was, I think, a very important point for us to understand what our main what our agenda was and what was our main goal. We collected people from different regions of Ukraine. We had some residency program. We had lectures and workshops for people from Kharkiv with invited guests, but also with, of course, artists from Kharkiv. And that was our main idea to grow together with our community and to support it. In winter 2021-2022, we were planning to change the space to move closer to the city center and to get some bigger space that would be working during the whole year. Of course, it became pretty much impossible in after the February 2022. This is Saltivka, and it's close to our space. We decided that we won't be staying as a art space in garage anymore, and that's why we had a big question how to reimagine garage, what to do, and how we can continue working. For us, there were several points that we were planning to work with. First of all, our community, and second of all, our main values and ideas. The first project that we did outside of garage space was actually in Documenta 15, where we showed the movie about garage that we filmed before the invasion. We interviewed people who were part of our communities, and after the invasion, we added the interview with them, showcasing how their lives change and how their perspective and also geographical situation changed. That was one of the first project that we did, and then we also tried to make some kind of questionnaire for people who were in contact with us. We sent it out through our social media, and we've got a lot of answers. Most of them were connected to the need of money. We were asking people what do they need and how we can support them. And the second biggest thing that people were asking for was the space to work with. And also throughout this questionnaire, we understood that a lot of people moved to other cities. So most of our audience was not based in Kharkiv anymore. From this questionnaire, the project Weaving was born, and it was the project that connected artist-run and independent spaces throughout Ukraine. We did 2 editions so far. We plan to continue, and in this project, we tried to connect 2 independent spaces. One space which lost their space, physical space, and one which still had it. So basically, we found artist-run spaces in different regions of Ukraine, and we created these pairs. For example, one space from Kharkiv and one from Lviv, and the space from Kharkiv could invite their artists or their community to create some kind of exhibition or event in the space of their partner institution. For that, we got the grant money. That was really fortunate because we could give the scholarships to all the institutions or organizations who took part. And that was one of the first branches of our new work that we tried to continue after the invasion, because after talking to other people who are also in the same situation as we are, we understood how networking is important and how much we get from connecting to each other, to connecting to other artist-run and independent spaces. This is a picture from 2022 in Lviv, as a part of the project. The second branch started because I was invited to move to Austria to work in Office Ukraine, which is the organization supporting Ukrainian artists, displaced Ukrainian artists who moved to Austria. We have 3 offices in Vienna, Graz, and Innsbruck. I work in Graz. This is our team, and our main goal was to support artists moving from Ukraine to Austria with different kind of everyday questions, but main focus was on continuing their career. Throughout this work, a pretty big community of Ukrainian artists started to develop in Graz. And for last 3 years, I'm working with this community a lot. We created different kind of projects. The first big project that we created together with Ukrainian community in Graz and Garage 127 in Kharkiv, or now we are a nomadic organization, was the home residency program, where we hosted 5 Ukrainian artists based in Ukraine and 5 Ukrainian artists based in Graz in Austria. They were working together and they were creating the project dedicated to the topic of home. In this project, we were trying to save or to continue the connections between artists who left Ukraine, which I have a lot in common with. I also left Ukraine. I now work in Austria, but these connections were the most important thing that we tried to preserve throughout the home project. So after these 10 residences, artists created the artworks that were showed in the public space in Graz, in Austria, and this also gave us a glimpse of what Ukrainian community in Austria needs. Because all these artists, some of them I knew before the invasion, some of them I met only when we all were already based in Austria. They try to continue their career, but most of them didn't understand how to move forward in the new country. And we found out throughout the home residency program that a lot of them are in need of atelier space, of working space. And because during the home residency program, the 5 chosen artists from Ukrainian Graz community were given the working space. We rented the atelier for all of the artists to work together, and I think it was one of the big impacts that allowed artists to continue working. So that gave us the opportunity to understand how to move forward. And from that, the Ziegel art community. Ziegel meant brick, and from bricks you can build a house, but also with brick you can basically break anything. You can break a window with a brick. Also, Ziegel, it's in German, and in Ukrainian, Ziegel means cegla. So we really like the name. And in summer 2024, we gathered together with people from the community. There were 15 of us, now it's 14, and we found the space to work together and also to become the gallery space where we can show our work, because that's also one of the big important thing that helps artists to continue their work. A lot of institutions in Austria are not so much interested in working with Ukrainians anymore. It was a big wave in 2022, and now we feel the lack of interest, and most of artists didn't have enough time to build these connections, so they would work as a local artist. So we really also needed the space to show our works. Now we have Ziegel Space. It was sponsored by Office Ukraine. Office Ukraine paid for the space, but since the beginning of 2025, we received the scholarship, so it would be fully paid by the scholarship by the local government. We have a very horizontal structure, very horizontal. That means that all of the decisions that we made together by direct voting. That's why we have such a big team, 14 artists and cultural practitioners. We have a bigger community here in Graz, but community doesn't equal team. We have also in Ziegel the space for 6 artists to work together, the atelier space. And we not only want to showcase the works by our community, but we also have the open call on our Instagram. And yeah, we only have Instagram now. I think we also have Telegram chat, but we don't have the open call there. Yeah, and the open call is for everyone. We want to connect to Ukrainians in Ukraine, to Austrian artists in Austria, to basically people everywhere. The things that we don't accept are applications in Russian. That's what we don't do. We accept in English, Ukrainian, and German. This is the opening of Ziegel, and here you can see the diversity of our community. We have artists from different ages and from different social groups, from different levels. That was a very important part that we wanted to highlight. We don't discriminate people by their level of their career, or we will accept artists who are working in contemporary art, but also with more classical forms of art. Because for us and for me, the work that we are doing is not only about showing art or working with art, but also about creating this safer space. And I think that's something that I learned back in Kharkiv when we were working with Garage, and what we are trying to continue doing here in Austria. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much. Please follow me on Instagram.
Uh, Thank you, Nastya. And I remember this small place in Kharkiv, and uh, um, when I heard your presentation, I think that how full-scale invasion can, how to say, forced to reinvent it, a new form of being together. Because firstly, you're focusing as a community, and now we should to collaborate with different other institutions and grassroots organization to support this fragility branches of infrastructure of grassroots initiatives and. I don't know. I even cannot imagine how much efforts it took. Thank you for that. And we will move further to another geography, to Anna Mikadze. And I thank you, Anna, that you join us in this very intensified process of protest. So the floor is your, Anna.
Thank you. It's really nice to be here. I will start sharing my screen. Mhm. Actually, I think I need a moment to share the screen. Meanwhile, I'm just gonna talk about what's happening now in Georgia. I mean, it has been really hard the past few days to kind of get like focus and be able to join. And I want to send my regards to my comrades fighting on the streets at the moment. And I mean, since 2022 full-scale invasion, I feel like all of our lives in Georgia, it's split like before the war and after the war. And it has been really hard to like create art because of gentrification that started to happen. I mean, many of us were kicked out of our homes because of rent increase and like so many other things. And it became incredibly difficult to, to be able to produce work. And I'm having a bit of, problem with sharing. I think I have to wait a few minutes.
Don't worry, technical issues happens all the time.
Yeah, I think I need to. I'm very new to Zoom, so
And thank you, Anna, because I remember how difficult it could. On the one hand, how important to reflect on the events, on the so intensifying events that you don't have a distance, but on the other hand, how it's complicated because
yeah.
you don't have a distance and you're so full of emotions and I don't know. Yeah, I understand probably. I couldn't understand 100%, but I can guess about the feelings.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm having a bit of a hard time with sharing, and I'm wondering if it's better to go to another presentation, and I will, in the meantime, figure it out.
Or if
Yeah,
you don't, and
I
before
can.
that, you can just send me your presentation and I can share it.
Oh, actually, that would be perfect. Yes. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Yes. Should I? Yeah, I'm actually sending it via Zoom. But in the meantime, yeah, this is the topic which I really wanted to talk about for a really long time because of like so many changes that have occurred in Georgia since these last 2 years. And like what is important to notice that in these last 2 years, despite the hardships that Georgian artists have witnessed, there's emergence of many, many independent artistic spaces in the different cities. Um, which is also a byproduct of silencing from the governmental artistic institutions. Like for the last 2 years, we had been cases of like silencing artists from Georgian museums, from contemporary art spaces in different cities in Georgia, like Batumi, for example, contemporary art space, or Tbilisi, which kind of directed us to trying to find some grants and trying to arrange our own spaces and create our own spaces, which then takes us to another problem, which is when you're really heavily dependent on grants, for example, then your art and your process and quality also changes of producing artworks when you're dependent on, for example, Europe to be able to get funding and to be able to pay rent for the artistic space. For example, a year ago, me and two artists, Georgi Kikori and Mariam Kakhniashvili, we founded an artistic space called Kharahura, which is mostly focused on printed-based arts. And for this last year, we have been trying to get funding to try to fund actually artists who work in comics or who work with zines and printed matter as a medium. And it has been extremely difficult now, as with the foreign agent law and this recent suppressions, and we're really wondering how to continue our work despite the ongoing repressions. So I think
just 1 second, it's downloading.
It's a bit big. I think I made a presentation which is a bit too big, but we're gonna power through as laconically as possible. Like I really wanted to compile like some of the artworks that really represent how Georgian artists showed their solidarity with the ongoing Russian war. And there's some of the examples which I'm gonna talk about.
Yeah, this.
Yes. I really wanted to start with the picture of the artists' march from several days ago. Is it sharing actually? Yes. Yes. So we can move to the next few slides. So there's 3 themes that we have been observing in the Georgian art scene since the full-scale invasion. And like these themes, like displacement, migration, and home are quite naturally occurring because, I mean, the war has opened so many traumas again. And this is like some work of Maria Makubardia. And she has been working on this exhibition in 2022. She's basically painting her house where she was displaced from in Abkhazia. We can move to the next slides. Yes, this is some of the examples. And this is a reoccurring theme in many different artists' works. For example, Nika Kutateladze, who's engaging with the concept of depopulation of the village. And for the last 2 years, we have been seeing massive increase in emigration out of Georgia. There's really a lot of artists who are leaving for better opportunities, unfortunately. And this has been definitely a hot topic for the last 2 years. We can move to the next ones. This is also one of the group shows on the context of transition and immigration within the Georgian context. Yes, we can move to the next one. One of the really important themes is solidarity, of course. This I wanted to show Tamuna Chabashvili's artwork, where Chabashvili drew inspiration from a camouflage net woven by Ukrainian women for military purposes, which encountered on the news. And then we see this artwork come alive in this exhibition in Gallery Art Beat. We can move to Tamar Nadiradze's artworks, which are also responding to the war in Ukraine. And the next, two artworks are also from the same exhibition, As I Fall Asleep. She really goes deep into the themes of being uprooted from your home, and the exhibition is also accompanied by Ilya Chavchavadze's poem, which was written in the 19th century, responding to the Russian imperialism. Then we can move to Sandro Sulaberide's artwork, which is called Exotic Eye of the Observer. And when I talked to him, he was saying that he was deeply moved by what happened in Bucha, and he started creating optical experiments with a bullet POV. And all these artworks are created by his self-made cameras. We can move to Mariam Ghalabegashvili's artwork, which is an intervention in the Memorial Museum of Glory in Gurjani in Georgia. And I really like how she basically rethinks the existing like specific site, which is this War Glory Museum of the Soviet period time. And she uses these first aid thermal blankets to, as a conflicting context of what's actually displayed in the Soviet Glory Museum. We can move to next work. Yes, so this is a work by Nina Kintsurashvili from 2022. And it's really interesting how she uses she actually appropriates the technique which was used during the Russian colonization in Georgia, where medieval frescoes of churches were completely whitewashed by Russians, and they were trying to excavate and basically vandalize the already existing frescoes. And through this method, she's trying to reappropriate it and uncover the original frescoes. And she herself witnessed 2 images of being uncovered. I thought it was a really interesting technique. This is my work, which was exhibited in 2022, Energy as a Tool of Hybrid Warfare. And it started from me and my colleagues, Katarina Eman's research about Ukrainian energy grid, as well as Georgian energy grid, trying to identify the Russian influence and the Russian money flow. And for me, it was really important to bring back the discourse in the Georgian society that our electricity, our energies is completely dependent on Russia. And how are we independent as a society when we're dependent on our colonizers for energy? And with that, I want to move on to the next theme, which was really relevant in the last 2 years, which is autoethnographical work, of course. And I would want to call this subgenre extracting Georgia. Like we saw artists extracting different moments of like Georgian identity and challenging the existing notions of Georgian identity, but at the same time reflecting on the last 30 years of what we have been going through as a collective. And the next picture is an exhibition called Scene of Incident. I'm a bit sick, so I'm gonna drink a bit of Scene of Incident, which was a group show in the Why Not Gallery. And this selection of Georgian artists, they're exploring painful facts and cultural violations of Georgia. We can move to the next. This was also really interesting exhibition for me. This is by artistic collective called the Material Hunters, and they're basically are gathering expressions that reflect political situation of recent Georgian history, as you can see here. And I would like to move on to the slide 23rd. I really wanted to stress Maria Mabashidze's work, which is called Milk Composition. And I mean, with this artistic reflection of Georgian identity, we also started reflecting on our own cases of extractivism in the country, which is so deeply connected to Georgian oligarchs, and then Georgian oligarchs connected to Russian oligarchy. And this is one of the works that exploring this topic. Maria Mabashidze, she is from a small city called Rustavi, and Rustavi metallurgical plant is basically poisoning the air in her city. And yeah, I thought it was really nice work. Then on the autoethnography, we have this trend in really appreciating the ancestral intelligence. Here we see Elena Chantaladze's work. Sorry, it's really hard to speak. Maybe we can just scroll through the next slides. Yes. So, as I said before, the ancestral intelligence has been really a trend in these last 2 years. Which, what I mean by ancestral intelligence is basically using intimate familiar objects to evoke ancestral presence, like dining tables, teeth, textiles, or animal cults. For example, on the slide 25, we have Anna Korkia, Nika Kutateladze, who are basically bringing back this animal Georgian cult back into the paintings to evoke this ancestral presence. And this ancestral presence also brought back the interest in self-taught art. And that's why Elena Chantaladze and Vati Davitashvili also has been being exhibited a lot in those last 2 years. I would move to slide 31.
Unfortunately, I don't have the number of pages. That's why just say me when I on the right slide.
Yes, I think we can just scroll through the slides of Salome Johadze. We can move to the next one. This is a group exhibition called Color of Pomegranates, which was actually a response to the anti-LGBTQ law, which was proposed in June. And this exhibition was basically an appreciation for Georgian queer art, and not only. And the exhibition carries a symbolic meaning where like of the politics of gender identities are entrenched in local society, and this is what the exhibition is trying to show. Then we can move to the one after. Yes. Yeah, I think it was really important to also mention Tbilisi Public Art Fund, which has been making art accessible to a bigger, broader public by exhibiting artists in metros, for example. Here's the two examples of Ketuta Alexei Meskheshuli's work and Nino Dawadze's work. Unfortunately, Tbilisi Public Art Fund is funded by the mayor of Tbilisi, which is part of our illegitimate government at the moment. So I wanted to show you, but I don't appreciate the funders. And this takes us back to the independent spaces in crisis. So in these last 2 years, as we have had lack of funding, lack of space, many artists formed collectives as well as me and my collective. One of them is Subsequence, Kurorte and Harahura. And we have been hosting different artists, and especially this has, I mean, funding from European Union made it possible that we can invite people and artists from other contexts of Russian imperialism. And we can move to the next one. For example, one of the exhibitions that was done in Untitled Gallery was Ilkin Huseinov's Looming Dreams exhibition, which was basically AI generating revolution in Russia. I thought it was pretty interesting to look at these type of collective imaginaries, or in Untitled Gallery, there was also exhibited Salina Baza, who is an Abkhaz Syrian artist. And basically, being able to exhibit in artist-run spaces, we were able to talk about more relevant and pressing topics such as migration, because so many Georgian artists are living year by year, especially after the full-scale invasion. And one of the exhibitions that was done about this topic was in this off space. And I would move to the next slide. And I really wanted to talk about also the silencing in Georgian arts at the moment. I literally updated this slide today because this happened today. So Art House Gori, this city is in the middle of Georgia, and basically photographers of Gori, they have renovated a public toilet, an abandoned building by their own funds completely, and they turned it into an amazing gallery who has been hosting workshops and so many events for people from Gori and not only. And because they did an exhibition that responded to the current protests, which you can see here, it says city which was in war, it's not going to apologize. And because of this statement, now they're being deplatformed by the mayor of Gori, and they're about to get kicked out. And similar thing has happened to CS Batumi. CS Batumi is a contemporary art space in Batumi, the seaside city of Georgia. And for these last 2 years, it has basically left the Georgian art scene in a way, because they before like 2023, they hosted several artists, Georgian artists, who were critical of the government. And because half of the money was funded by the Georgian government of this gallery, they basically changed the whole management. And now we're in this situation where most of the art is being made in Tbilisi, the capital city. And now CS Batumi does not exist for critical Georgian artists anymore. And we are now on the verge of also losing Art House Gori, which is also a really important part of the community. And here we come to the last slide, which is Artists March banners in Georgia from several days ago. And I wanted to emphasize again that this, like these banners that you see here, this is what Georgian art making has become in these last days. Thank you so much, and sorry for my voice. I've been really dealing with a bad cough.
Thank you for sharing. For me, it's really important that you noticed that you pointed out the extractivism dependencies on the one hand, and on the other hand, the this like a translocal solidarity, but probably we will talk about it a little bit later. And I saw Gleb Kovalsky, this is Belarusian queer artist and activist. So it's also thank you for that. And of course, I express my solidarity to Georgia. So, and we will move further from earlier protests then. I mean that I said that I propose to move to Belarus context. That protest started during the pandemic, during the COVID pandemic, but the level of repressions and the dependencies, Russian dependencies, still unfortunately actual and even become even worse. And probably it's also important that at the very beginning of the Belarusian protest, I remember that Belarusian artist Vladimir Khramovich said that Belarusian citizenship should resist against two dictators. It means Lukashenko and Putin. And so I also think that it's good idea just switch off, not to compare two protests. It's possible, because on the one hand, every protest is very closer to each other, but at the same time, they are completely different. But I think to switch from presence and the future to the past and the future. So, Lisa, I invited you to share your presentation. The floor is yours.
Hello. I will try to show my presentation. Do you see me?
Yes.
Okay, but I guess I don't know how to work. Maybe like this. Okay, it's be like this. So hello, my name is Elizaveta Stetsko. I'm cultural worker from Belarus. Now I'm living in Poznan and a bit in Warsaw in Poland. First of all, I want to introduce you to the colonial context of Belarus and factors which mean a lot of nowadays situation. First of all, is dual colonization from both the west and the east, and there you can see the maps of Belarus in different times. Also, in post-communist period, we experience pressure of globalization. Belarus positioned as a peripheral part of Eastern Europe, and of course is the Russian neo-imperialism politics. And like you mentioned before, Antonina, it's we have some kind of events which take importance of Belarusian reality today is pandemic crisis, Belarusian electoral explosion on 2020, and hybrid neo-colonization of Russian began in 2020 but fully developed in 2022. And there you can see the number of political prisoners in Belarus. Also, it's worth nothing in the Belarusian reality. We have full of fear, repression, and risk. And for example, in the screens, you can see the scale of repression in cultural worker in Belarus for 4 years. And after 2022, this repression get bigger and increase the geographic. For example, now a cultural figure abroad can also be intention of crimes or have experience of repression for relatives, and after a full-scale invasion by Russian in Ukraine, many of Belarusian people stand against the war in Ukraine. For example, we have protest like for hungry people after this this incredible repression after 2020. People stand against politics of Russia and get arrested, and where they was subjected to harsh treatment or torture. Also, it's for example, cyber partisans activity on a case of railway partisans, and Belarusian feminist and queer anarchist community very engaged after 2022 to volunteer networks and provide support to Ukraine refugees, anti-authoritarian forces and initiatives in Ukraine. Also, Belarusian people of art, of culture, responding to the Russian-Ukrainian war, and it's become a powerful tool of visual resistance against unique strength under the condition of representation, censorship, and immigration. And waves together the personal experience of artists and the collective pain of the people. And I want to show you a few examples of this anti-war specific art. Sergei Hrinevich, Mikhail Gulin shows a lot these topics in his art. Also, as you can see in this art, we have this palette of dark, of destruction, and symbols of apocalypse and military attributics. Also, artists connect to their own experience to express these feelings about the war, and go to object art and also conceptual practice to express. Also, we have a very difficult, very different kinds of this art representation, like video, paintings, artistic research based on real story, installation, connecting with real history, what happened. Also, we can see this turn to mystical, I guess, practice. For example, in this to excel, who expect us, who take a candle to figure of Russian soldiers. This is a reflection of Belarusian traditions, attributic means of documents in these times full of violence. Also, like I mentioned before, it's happenings from Alexei Kuzmich. Also, Belarusian get together to say strong things about war. For example, like anti-war coalition, who co-authors, coordinators is many of Belarusian, and also after full-scale invasion of 2022, we can see a lot of decolonization practice in art from Belarus, from Belarusian artists. And for example, Belarusian Council for Culture make a huge research in this topic, and introduce like three most important circles of post-colonial and post-imperial studies. And in this case, Belarusians address, for example, for reflects about the history, about imperial challenges and local response in the regions. For example, this work by Hramovich draws history of modernist art and architecture and the history of ideology and political movement and transformation of urban space in the borders. Lithuanian, Poland, Ukrainian, and Latvia were these Belarusian borders, and last 3 years has become a place of crossing and historical rifts. Lesa Pcholka reflects about this map situation which I mentioned before. And also returning to these symbols of our past, like Soviet Union, and reflection at the retrospective in another new waves. We made a lot of work about the genealogy, about the material of identity and presented in public spaces, exhibition spaces, to find the key of identity and take together this knowledge of Belarusian history. Projects by Masha Moroz. Also some kind ironic project by Sergei Shabokhin, discussion about ornaments, about this material and presence of the symbols in nowadays, and also return to traditional, we can see return to traditional forms of art in new connections and context. For example, is Marina Naprushkina works, series of paintings, Malavanki, and she asked important questions based on Belarusian folklore. Also, we have strong voice from the women in Belarusian art who discuss about this power, about position of women used in post-colonial context. Alexander Danilkin bathroom also he made interesting work, portrait of Kuropatty. It's work about knowledge, because in Belarus we have nowadays this tendency to lack and lack of historical narratives and go away figures, and this is portrait of Belarusian dissidents, and this is way to epistemologize resistance. People ask about himself. Also, we have turned to not really representing topics in Belarusian art, for example, like queers and history of these people. Also, it's again work about this critique of knowledge which happened in 2022. And we have a few important exhibition. It's happened in abroad, like when the sun is low, the shadows are long. The curator of the exhibition, Anna Karpenka, asked about Belarusian identity and feelings to be ethnic of the borderland, and how we can be in this oppressive structure. The coat of presents Belarusian patterns, embroiders and texture patterns. This is online exhibition, which reflects in history of woman art and crafts, and way of resistance with this creative strategies of Belarusian protest. So far yet so close. This also a family exhibition where women share their stories and return to understanding what is the base of nowadays, and how they can join these voices against the oppressive regimes, and how it can be possible by art. Also, we have this Veha archive, which collects the photo, and we have a few presentation of this kind of activity to collect the history and be independent on this research. Important exhibition by Sergei Shabokhin, who use these topics of situation of regions and dependence geographically of Belarus and landscapes in neighborhood. Another exhibition coalition, it's a case of Belarusian art who use this transnational practice to talk about oppression and found power in solidarity and coalitions. This exhibition is by the curators of like Alexei Beresionek and Antonina Stibor, and curators was researching these topics of infrastructure of solidarity in our regions. Exhibition by Vladimir Khramovich, sometimes Hot in the Air in Berlin. It's show this migration experience of Belarusian art and experience of protest and experience of violence, and this feelings is turned into this name of exhibition. Also, we have specific initiatives who work with decolonization practice, like Gribnica, Figury Zine. In last year, they made a book about the colonial Belarusian practice of literature. Also, we have case about visions of Belarusian in future, like Open Museum. This is initiative reflects the national identity and the situation we have nowadays, and so about what can be next and how Belarusian Museum of Contemporary Art can look. About the archive is a collector research platform of Belarusian contemporary art who collect the Belarusian art by names, terms, events, artworks, and documents. And also is important to make this base of knowledge to nowadays. Also, we have a lot of initiative who work with Belarusian culture and identity. And I guess this is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. I just mentioned probably Lisa is too shy to mention the initiatives that she also involved in. This is like Stus initiative, who works a lot of with like a translocal solidarity and support Ukrainian and Belarusian queer person who fled from Ukraine and Belarus and made a wonderful project. I know that they made a wonderful zine, and the presentation of the zine will be at the beginning of January in the Henta with performances. So it's also important and how to connect it, how we all the time not connected by the Russia colonialism, but also anti-colonial and solidarity movement. We also connected to each other, and we will move forward to Medina. How to say it, the last but not least, and I think that's also Anna has already mentioned the migration processes that also increase the prices for rental. And I know that the Kazakhstan is also a country that also very affected by Russia colonialism on the one hand, also had experience of protest, but at the same time they had a huge waves of migration from Russia to Kazakhstan as well. So Medina, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. My name is Medina Bazargali. I'm an artist and cultural practitioner from Kazakhstan. Today I will share how Kazakhstan's cultural landscape is shifting in response to the Russian invasion of Ukraine and colonial legacies, both Russian and Chinese, and recent socio-political events like protests in January. I will also try to share how artists in Kazakhstan are responding with decolonial practices and trying to foster solidarity, in interregional solidarity. Unfortunately, I do not have a presentation because I was detained 2 days ago on the day of independence of Kazakhstan, because I went to the Square of Independence in Almaty to leave flowers in the memory of people who passed away in December of 1986, in Genosian 2011, and January 2022. So basically, I was held in a police station and experienced PTSD of January protests, but I have notes. So basically, thank you so much for invitation and for opportunity to speak. I think it's important to mention that Kazakhstan sits at the historical and geopolitical crossroads shaped by Soviet colonialism and as well as Russian and Chinese colonial influence. And I think that Russian invasion of Ukraine has amplified decolonial discussions, forcing many Kazakh artists to more decolonial discourse. I also think that two major events shaped Kazakhstan's cultural and political landscape. First one being Kandı Kantar. It's a protest happened in January 2022 and violent suppression of it that revealed deep problems such as language problem, and it has also radicalized a generation of artists, activists, and citizens. And the second event is Russian invasion of Ukraine, because this war sparked conversations about colonial legacies, and many finally acknowledging the urgency of the decolonial discourse. And Kazakh artists have been responding with solidarity and decolonial approach to art and research. I think it's important also to say that protests of January 2022, triggered by rising inequality and economic injustice, ended in a violent answer of the government. Over 2,000 lives were lost, and Russian military forces invited by the Kazakh government under the Collective Security Treaty Organization further escalated the trauma. The presence, I think that the presence of Russian forces, as Kazakh special forces resisted orders of Tokayev, I think the presence of Russian forces exposed that deep dependency on Russian political and military influence. And this radicalized many Kazakhs, particularly the younger generation as myself. People who once dismissed decolonization as unnecessary began taking it more seriously. For many, the war in Ukraine became a very important reminder of Kazakhstan's own struggles and colonial dependencies and colonial history. And artists have turned to more collective-based, community-based resistance tactics. Many, I can. Oh no, I'm sorry. Okay. So yeah, many artists documented also Kandı Kantar and tried to challenge official state narratives. Used different mediums such as sound installation and digital art to explore Kazakhstan's relationship with colonial legacy, and also with the 200,000 people migrated to Kazakhstan in the past 2 years from Russia. and it's really important to see how the the presence really influences the cultural sphere, and how also it sparks the conversations about colonial dependencies, also linguistic and cultural, reinforcing linguistic and cultural dominance of Russian-speaking and Russian citizens. It sparks frustration among Kazakh artists, young Kazakh artists, and we are currently fight for language revitalization. Artists are responding by amplifying Kazakh language and narratives in our work as an act of decolonial resistance. Kazakh language and traditional symbols and ancestral practices also reappearing in the art practices that many of artists of my generation, that I can see that many artists of younger generation use. I think it's also important to mention that, as Anna said, we have very similar problem. Housing market soared, displacing many Kazakh locals, which deepened resentment, and this discussions about decolonization, which has been going on for the past 5 to 6 years, but right now they are very loud and important. Also, what me and my community have been working on is discussing not only influences of Russian colonialism, but also Chinese colonialism, and to understand how right now it's many people who were displaced from the region of Xinjiang region, and but it's also important to understand that Russia right now is a dominant colonial shadow, unfortunately. So conversations in artistic circles now address how Kazakhstan can reimagine Kazakh identity and establish our own discourses, both culturally and politically. So in this complex environment, I think it's really important and interesting to observe how Kazakh artists are leading the way in reclaiming cultural agency and making a decolonial path. I see in the community that many people, after the invasion, many people and many artists started to speak Kazakh more and showing solidarity through both their cultural practices and political position, participating in protests and organizing protests ourselves. But unfortunately, right now, our government is very strict about protests, and we are not even allowed to show memory to the people who have fallen in the protests. But I hope we will still have have opportunity to be protesting freely in the future. So yeah, what I wanted to say that artists are centering the Kazakh language, history, ancestral symbols and practices, and use of Kazakh traditions, poetry, myth within digital and visual and performance art. And I think it's deepens the commitment to cultural reclamation. Also, art has become a critical tool for researching Kazakhstan's political and economic dependencies, as well as it's important to understand, I think, that even though the protest is being suppressed very severely, still government does not really care about art, so art can be political. For example, when we organized a film festival about Xinjiang region, about Uyghur Autonomous Region in China, the festival was prohibited by the government and was cancelled by Almaty Police Department. But when 2 weeks later we made a exhibition about the same topic, they did not say nothing, they just let it happen. So and there are a few also a few exhibitions that had very political foundation, but they were not seen by the government as a threat. So we can still use art as a political tool. I think it's really important. Also, I think this war also reminded many Kazakhs of the danger of colonial aggression, and many Kazakh artists express solidarity with Ukraine, also drawing parallels between histories of Russification, erasure, and resistance. There are many cross-regional collaborations through exhibitions, discussions, and residencies. And I think it's really cool. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit worried, but I hope everything is okay. So also, I think there is a big role of feminist view, because care, solidarity, and resistance emphasizes the interconnectedness of societies, particularly those affected by colonial violence and war. And I think that Kazakhstan's experience echoes that what colonial trauma has been put on Ukraine and all the other post colonial spaces. And I think it's also what I see in, for example, my community in Bult. I'm a part of a queer decolonial community called Bult. It translates as cloud from Kazakh. So it's important to see that artists prioritize healing collective trauma through gems, through visual art and community-based projects. There are emotional support initiatives There are I think that there is cross-regional solidarity. For example, we made in 2023 we made a project together with the Ukrainian artist Nastya Khrychkovska. I made a wool tikimet. It's a carpet, and we basically had a place for a political tea drinking, and we had an opportunity to just sit and talk with all of the people present in the on this exhibition, and it was a big performance, like collective performance, and people were invited to talk with us about internal and external politics of our regions, and it was basically a place that fostered decolonial conversations. And we just wanted to make this because we were in this residency, and every night we just talked about what's happening in our countries politically and socially, and it was a very interesting opportunity to talk. Also, we made a collaborative project with Taras Gembik and Sao Saudatu Sup from Sao is from Kyrgyzstan, Taras from Ukraine, and with Nastya also we made a audio visual performance with some Ukrainian and Kazakh poetry, and Sao played Shankobas Oskumus. It's a musical instrument. I think it's called harp, maybe. It's a metallic instrument. So basically, we were performing all together, also reflecting on our colonial trauma and our common experiences. And we made a visual with Nastya. We made it was our conversation, and there were words that are similar in Ukrainian and Kazakh, and we basically made like a poetry, like a digital poetry, based on our common emotional reflections. So yeah, basically what I want to say about cross-regional solidarity between Central Asia and Eastern Europe, and how we can resist isolation and amplify shared problems and help each other emotionally. And knowledge exchange also. There began to happen a lot more decolonial workshops, residencies, and digital platforms in Kazakhstan and Central Asia that allow us artists to share tools for resistance. And it's also important to say that it's not only art in Kazakhstan. I observe art in Kazakhstan not only as a response to violence and colonialism, but also a means of building networks of solidarity and care and resistance. What I also wanted to say. Yeah, I think that right now artists are radicalized, but also frightened. And unfortunately, many of many artists and activists who I know are burned out because our government is really oppressive. But right now I can see that a lot more artists adopting a decolonial lens to critique Russia and China, and I think it's really important. And we reclaim language, history, identity, and resist cultural erasure. We build solidarity across regions, particularly with Ukraine, and recognize our shared struggles. And yeah, I think through cultural practices, Kazakhstani artists are navigating the traumatic past and resist pressures of the present as well. And in these difficult times, art is not silent, and it's essential. Thank you so much. And I'm
Thank you,
sorry.
Medina. Thank you so much. And first of all, Medina, my friend, I send you my support and caring. And our common friend Taras, that you have already mentioned, said also hello to you. And unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time to ask question. I decided to probably that to share presentation. I decided not to interrupt all of you by presenting because it's really essential to have opportunity to talk and sharing, but probably I will have opportunity to ask the last but very important question about solidarity. We have already talked a lot about colonial tensions and dependencies, about the colonial practices, and of course we talk a lot about solidarity, and probably I can send I would like to ask a question that for me personally is really crucial. I don't know, when we talk about help and solidarity, what help and solidarity is essential for cultural workers in your community today, and in general, do you feel a sense of solidarity and how we can help each other? This is my question, because very often we don't ask each other how we can help you, just provide something that we think help you, but not to ask people what we can do or may do.
Maybe I can start. First of all, thank you all for sharing. It was really important to see all the examples and to hear about it, because it's not the kind of information that is easy to find, and I think that's also the part of the answer to the question, because I think for me and for a lot of Ukrainian artists, not only artists, it would be important and also very emotional to see the examples from other countries. Unfortunately, the cultural world, the funding in it works in a way that we can feel more connection with European countries than with countries that we have so much more in common. Because I feel that I have so much more in common with people from Kazakhstan than with people from Austria, for example, just historical wise. And I think that these kind of the projects where we can share our common struggle and also to know more, learn more about our history and our joint problems would be crucial for feeling this solidarity and also for building the connections. I was discussing this problem with my colleagues from Belarus, from Kazakhstan, and we were looking for some options how to find the funding for that. And I think that's the biggest problem that we need to figure out how to solve probably together.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I remember all the time when we talk about the connections, I remember the theory of models communication that Svitlana Matviyenko, Ukrainian researcher, proposed. This is like about the inter-imperial communication and colonial imperial communication. But I think that one part of communication is missing in this theory is intercolonial communications, and we understand why it's missing, because we don't have like a separable independent infrastructure to do this communication without mediation of, for example, Western world, for example, by instance. Yeah.
I would add to what just Nastya said. I completely agree. Only if we had our own infrastructure, maybe things would be different. But like so far, like the way that I feel, like I can feel the solidarity from Ukrainians, from Kazakh people. Like I can feel the solidarity, also vice versa. But like I really wish that there could be time and space that we could actually engage in art making on these topics together. Like if there was like a residency where we could engage in art making and not only just sharing solidarity on like a political level, but also transform it into that would be really my need, my personal need.
Probably Lisa or Medina also would like to add something to these sorts.
I also thinking about this needs of inclusive dialogue with ourselves, and also I think about the appreciations of this solidarity and the opportunity to celebrate our success and alliance. And this is like I think about helping each other, but also like Nastya mentioned before about financial support that I guess is very important to provide this decolonization reflection. It's just simple long-term financing for practice, for residencies, and I think also important to make attention to mental states of activists and artists and help in this area and solidarization in these talks.
Yeah, I totally agree that we all the time talking about caring system and how we should care in the political sense, but very often we forgot that we are fragile bodily existence, and we also should support each other. And unfortunately, Medina story remind me also about it, that how we fragile and how we could support each other, because without this caring system we couldn't continue our struggling and our creation and other structures, infrastructures, institutions, or initiatives.
I strongly agree with what you just said, and I think that it's really important to emotionally support each other. I really agree with everything that was just said, and I hope that we will have opportunity and spaces to heal and to also collaborate. As you said, Anna, I really agree with that it would be very important and meaningful if we had the space to make art together and practice solidarity, and as it is. I think because when I had such opportunities, it was very, very meaningful to me.
So thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you all participants for this sharing experience and knowledge. And as I totally agree with Nastya that every time when we gather together, all the time since how much in common we have in our, not only in our past, but in our struggling. And that I think that we should remember it and support to each other and create slowly, but I would like as fast as possible to create the connections and infrastructure between of us to support in this, to, I don't know, to increase this support and solidarity. And I share in my, I don't know, I wish, and I share my support and solidarity with all of our struggling and my struggling as well. So I am not outside of this process, but inside of it. And so thank you for being today evening or day, because we have completely another time zone. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.